You guys, listen how much I love you, okay? I have saved one final sip in this cup of water to make sure that I cheers to you in this video and actually took a sip. If that's not love, I don't know what is. I really don't know what is, okay? Have you ever wanted to get revenge on a neighbor? I definitely have. If you guys have been here, you know I've had one hell of a neighbor in the past, okay? Let me know your neighbor story, your terrible neighbor story, and cheers to my one last sip because I love you and I hope you're having a great day. Cheers. Oh my God. That was tart. All the lemon was at the bottom of that. My great-grandfather was one of the last people in town to get indoor plumbing, so he had an outhouse in his yard. Every Halloween, the neighborhood kids came into the yard and knocked over the building to expose the cesspit. He got tired of it, so one year on the night before Halloween, he moved the building forward and covered the fest with burlap, disguising it in the leaves and grass clippings. That's hilarious. In the dark, it was almost impossible to tell that it was there. On Halloween night, he sat in the outhouse and waited. It wasn't long after sundown when he heard the wet splat outside as a couple of kids fell into the muck. He lowered a ladder into the cesspit for them to leave after making them promise to never mess with his outhouse again. Ew! The kids honored their promise and even spread the word around the neighborhood not to mess with that outhouse anymore. You know what, you guys? I deserve to be in that cesspit. I deserve to be in there. You wanna know why? Because I was in grade 7 and I was at a friend sleeping over and we snuck out of the house and met up with some of our guy friends and they were like, we're gonna go and tip porta potties, thinking it was funny. And so I partook in that and I helped tip over some porta potties, like around random parks and things like that. It wasn't funny. It was funny to us at the time. Really immature, not right. I do not encourage that behavior. I've obviously learned. I was in grade 7, but I deserve that. I deserve to learn a lesson. I also got in big trouble that night because we got caught sneaking out. So I did get my karma. Big time got my karma. Oh my God, my dad was so mad. Anyways, our neighbors were constantly fighting, would get drunk every weekend and blasted loud music until 4 a.m. Well, the girlfriend went out of town for a week for a work training and we saw another girl park outside of the house while she was gone. We heard the new girl and the boyfriend going at it loudly too. So the next time they were being super loud at 2 a.m., we went over to ask them to turn down the music. They both yelled at us to mind our own business. My wife just casually asked, "Oh, did you guys get back together? What about the nice blonde girl who was over all last week?" Is this a throuple situation now? Then we went home and enjoyed listening to them throwing everyone out and having their last fight. Honestly, I think the girlfriend needs to know either way. You were honestly doing her a favor in the long term and for yourself. 2 birds with 1 stone, as they say. Not particularly exciting, but amusing. We briefly had a neighbor who was a complete jackass. My personal pet peeve was when he would yell at our kids to shut up while they were playing in the backyard. Next to his driveway was a big tree, and I noticed he'd throw occasional hissy fits over the birds pooping on his car. One week he was out of town, but his car was still in the driveway. Each day I put a heaping pile of berries, blueberries, strawberries, etc. next to the tree. He returned home to a car absolutely covered in Technicolor bird poop. What subtle, innocent revenge, you know? Like bird poop, harmless. Although, we all know how annoying bird poop is on your car. It's not easy to get off, okay? That stuff sticks on there like glue. I don't know what those birds are eating out there, but that stuff is foul and it is sticky. I had a terrible work schedule and had to wake up at 2:30 to be at work at 4. Ugh. My downstairs neighbor would blare loud music at all hours of the night and I could feel the bass through my mattress. I went downstairs and politely asked them to turn it down and they seemed to kindly agree. As soon as I got back in bed, they turned it up even louder and kept it going until about 1:30. Before I left for work at 3:30, I turned over my amplifier so the speaker was facing the door, turned the volume up and set my guitar on top of it. I left for my 12-hour shift and the feedback was still screaming when I came home. The neighbors never blared their music again. Well, it's like fighting fire with fire. If you're gonna do that to me, I'll do the same thing back and you'll see how much it sucks. It's genius, because it's like, I'll just do to you what you do to me. And let's call it even. Neighbor used to insist on mowing his lawn at 5:30. Is the sun even up at that time? Every Saturday morning. He had to drive on our property to access his back lawn and would buzz right past my window with the mower deck down, waking me up. I asked him to stop, but I was brushed off. One Friday night after working a late second shift, I left my dog's chain in the tall grass on our property between our houses. I see what you're doing here. 5:30 a.m. Saturday comes around and I woke up to the sound of the mowing sucking the chain up into the mower deck. The next weekend, I got to sleep in. That's intense. He probably broke his lawnmower. Probably needs a new one, probably an expensive fix, but come on. 5:30, we gotta be considerate about those around us. I was vacuuming the other day on a weekend and it was like between 10 and 11 a.m. And I started vacuuming and I stopped because I was like, wait, like to me, I'm up early. I'm an early bird. But I'm like, but wait, what if there's other people who aren't up as early as me? And Matt and I kept going back and forth. He's like, no, this is totally a reasonable time to vacuum. And I was like, yeah, for me, but what if it's not? So is that a reasonable time? I don't know. The rich brats next door always threw loud drunken parties when their parents were out of town. One Sunday morning, I went out to find the corner of our lot, which was a school bus stop, littered with used condoms. Ugh. That night around midnight, I gloved up and collected a bunch of them. Ugh. Ugh. They're used. Snuck into the neighbor's yard. Ugh. And scattered them around the pool, the garage, and the back door where Mom was sure to see them. There were no more parties. That's disgusting, bro. I have been to a lot of house parties in my day, okay? And never did it end like that. With all those lying out, like, what? I'll never forget one of our house parties in high school. The person's house that it was who was throwing the party, my friend who shall remain unnamed because I'm still friends with them, their dad came down at one point into the basement where we were having this party and had a laundry basket and went around collecting every single bottle that was there, whether it was full, empty, everything. Just cleared the place of alcohol. He didn't care if it was unopened. Sucks to be you. You lost it. It's mine now. And he confiscated everything. Rightfully so. When I was really young, our neighbor, druggie, I guess that's an important piece of information, demanded we move our septic tank because he claimed it was partially on his property. He was a complete jerk about it and kept at it. My dad's a really laid back person. Eventually, even he got mad and had the property line surveyed. Turns out, not only was the septic tank on our property, but the corner of his house and part of his driveway was actually on our land. Dad spent the next few months asking him when he was going to move his house off our land. Imagine actually following through with that, like through the city and through everything and being like, nope, your house is technically on my land. Like by law, it's on my land. You can't just frickin' pick up and move your house. I bet he was a lot nicer to you then. My wife and I had a neighbor who hated us because their family friends who went through a divorce lived there before us and we bought the house. They were mean to my wife, parked across our driveway when she was about to go to work, threw pieces of wood over our fence, and let their dog poop on our lawn without picking it up. Rude. I tried talking to them a couple times and was promptly told to F off. The husband used to brag about his lawn to everyone, so the next time it rained, I threw an entire box of bouillon, is that how you say it? Cubes into their backyard and let the rain melt them into the grass. Oh my God, those are like those like chicken broth soup things. Their dog absolutely destroyed their yard looking for the smell, and I would make sure to comment on it every chance I got. How do you even think of that? Those cubes? I would never ever think of that in a million years. Only I was that clever. My house is right on the corner of an area where the road turns into a T. I had issues with people cutting the corner and driving through my yard. One day, someone damn near hit my dog. That would be enough for me. I feel ya. I went and bought a boulder, probably 300 or 400 pounds, and put it right on the corner. Come winter, and we had a bad snowstorm. Someone was coming through in a lifted Dodge, and I hit the boulder going about 20 and totaled the truck. Whew. Since then, I've had zero issues with people. Damn. Not that you definitely shouldn't do that, but totaling a car? Man, I feel like I would put the boulders, but I'd also put a warning sign being like, boulders below. And then if they continue to, not my problem. But yeah, I mean, there's literally nothing they can do, because even if they try to like put it on them, you're driving across their property and they can have rocks on their property. So it's on you. That sucks. Friend had a neighbor who put in a very bright yard light that was pointed at her bedroom window. After a negative interaction when asking neighbor to re-aim or dim the light or such, cue theater stagehands, she put up a parabolic mirror pointed directly at dude's bedroom, used an old projector dowser and an old lighting board to program a chase sequence that was hours long and repeated. I'm trying to grasp what you just said. End result was a beam of randomly blinking light that was aimed at the neighbor's bedroom window. That's all I need to know. When he complained, she let him know that it was his light source and all he had to do was turn off his yard light. I can't. Some of y'all are so smart and so creative. I need to hang out with more people like this. I'm not bright enough for this stuff. I wish I was. I wish I was as smart and as clever. So I need some of you guys in my life, okay? To inspire me. Did you know you can sign up for the Jehovah's Witnesses to come to any address to teach you about their religion? You're welcome. You did that to a neighbor? Oh my God, can you actually do that? Is that, I gotta just ask. I'm not even trying to offend anybody. Do they still do that? Jehovah's Witnesses going around door to door? That literally was a thing. I remember it in my childhood of them coming to our door to talk about it with their pamphlets. Do they still do that? Like the door to door thing? I just think with social media now, times are different. They probably try to get the word out differently. If not, where do we sign? All right, guys, stay classy out there. Stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.